15 years after Einstein published his groundbreaking papers, Wolfgang Pauli, barely out of his teens, wrote a brilliant exposition of Einstein's relativity theory. The two pioneers of quantum mechanics, Max Born and Niels Bohr, encouraged Pauli to join their field. These mind-numbing problems became Wolfgang Pauli's obsession. Though a difficult and troubled man, Pauli was a master of intention. Other scientists called it the Pauli effect.
His colleagues in the experimental laboratories in physics said, please stay away, because sure as he would arrive in the laboratory, all the experiments would stop working. They even claimed that if Pauli went by the town in a train, that the experiments would stop working. He, like many of the others we think of as great scientists, was consummate intender. He could intend what was about to happen, and it would happen in a certain sense. He was one of the most creative figures in quantum mechanics because of that.
Pauli, like Newton, fell deep into this work, and eventually he had a mental collapse. In 1948, he went to the newly created C.G. Jung Institute to seek help from the now famous psychologist. As he walked into the room, the Pauli effect occurred. A vase suddenly fell to the floor. Both men would later say that when the vase shattered, they recognized their destiny. Together, they would try to comprehend the universe using both physics and psychology.
Pauli became one of the great contributors to the development of quantum physics, partly because of the intuitions that were fed, at least in part, by that kind of collaboration with a great intuitive thinker in a completely different domain, Carl Jung. And similarly, Jung understood much more and was able to express more usefully the kinds of things that he knew because of Pauli's contributions.
The incident itself led them to develop the concept of synchronicity, where two supposedly random events collide to create meaning.
Synchronicity, as Jung defines it, is a correspondence between an inner psychic state, psychological state, and some external event. The correspondence having a high degree of improbability, so that it appears random or accidental or merely coincidental or merely chance.
Jung and Pauli combined their brilliance and intuition and arrived at a theory of the universe. If matter behaves according to observation, then have human beings made their own reality? Have people's collective thoughts and dreams created our world? It's a notion that many scientists reject, but it echoes the occult.
The ancient occultists' idea of a latent consciousness that's pervading the whole world would make some of the interpretations of quantum mechanics a great deal simpler, because if consciousness is essential to the act of observation, to bringing a definite reality out of these quantum clouds of probability, life in some ways gets simpler if there are other sources of consciousness out there besides just us.